Okay, this is my tutorial on how to create a 2.5D parallax in Photoshop. First of all, I'm going to open up Photoshop. This is 2023, but this kind of works for most versions of Photoshop. Just might have to navigate around for different options, and there's a few little differences. But I've clicked a new file here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with, if I was going to do this just for film and TV and just for the internet, going with film and video, and I can create just a 1080 image, 1920 by 1080 pixels at 72 pixels per inch. But because I want to start off with as a print document, i.e. a poster, I'm going to go to print, and then I'm going to go to all presets and click A3, and then I'm going to change the orientation to landscape so that it will work on screen too. So see our canvas there, and now I'm going to find a suitable background. So I just have to start recording this again. So I'm going to do a movement poster for, or 2.5D parallax for Batman. So rather than search for Gotham, I'm going to search for something that might work well as a Gotham type background. So we'll search for a rainy alleyway. Okay, and then I'm going to change that to images, and then I'm going to go over to tools and make sure that I've got a good quality image. So click on tools, size, large. Now at the moment we've just got thumbnails, so if I right clicked and copied on here, the quality wouldn't be great because this is just a preview. But if I then click to expand the image, this one looks quite Gotham-like. Someone's image off DeviantArt. I don't own these images. This is just for the sake of tutorial, so I'm not going to try and make any money from this. So, you know, please, if you are following this, you know, consider creating your own assets. Copy that image and then go over to Photoshop. Just before I do that, actually, so you can see the resolution here, 1920 by 1080. So it's a good quality image. For what we're doing today, so paste that in there. I've got a little bit of a the artist's logo there, so I'm going to leave that on anyway, just because I don't want to be removing the copyright stuff. So in the past in Photoshop, you'd have to go to Edit, Free Transform, Control and T, or Command and T if you're on a Mac. I'm just going to select that Free Transform. Also in the past, in order to free transform and constrain the proportions, you would have to hold shift, but now it's a default where it automatically keeps the proportion. The tendency I've found when teaching this in the past is students like to do this and fill the white area, but with doing that, you are stretching each one of those square pixels into a rectangle. Therefore, you are distorting the image. It doesn't look that distorted there, but it is distorted. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm just going to press Control and T again to free transform, and now it's defaulted to lock in the proportions. So now I can transform it. It doesn't matter if we lose a little bit off the side, but our background, our canvas is still filled. So now got a suitable background. The next step is I want to add a suitable picture of Batman in there. So search for Batman. Again, tools, size, and large. Let's see. I want one which has got quite a plain background, so I can remove it quite easily. I'll use this one, this Robert Pattinson one. Okay, decent quality. Copy, and then back over to here, Control and V. Okay, so again, free transform. Hold. You don't need to hold shift anymore. Nice and big. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end up use the selection tools to remove the background. So in order to be able to see that a little bit more clearly, just click the little eye here next to my background layer, or my rainy alleyway layer, and then we have a number of options for the selection tools. Object selection tool can work quite well when you've got a clear object to cut out. I'm going to use the magic wand tool because I have a little bit more control over that. So if I click that there, the problem we've got there is some of the shadow on the skin is a very similar tone to this background area. So what I'm going to do is going to go up to the tolerance here and take that down first and see if that makes any difference. Yeah, so down to 12, and then if I hold shift, different ways of doing this. I can hold shift and click around all the different areas, or you can go to select and similar. What might happen with that though is it might go into the shadows again. Yeah, there we go. So that's going to be not going to be useful. So areas, different ways of doing this. You know, I could just do it like that, or I can use the polygonal lasso tool. See, it's the tones there too similar to the shades. So just Control and Z to undo that. Control and Z if you're watching in the UK. So here we go. Okay, so it's very bitty. I'm just going to press backspace to delete that area. So we've got these areas here, and I'm going to go in and tidy that up in a little bit. So I'm probably fast forward through this little bit and then come back to it. There are other ways of doing it. So if I use the lasso tool, I can draw around areas I don't want, just press delete, or the polygonal lasso tool, if I click and hold on that option, you can draw around point by point. A lot more control if you've got the patience to do that. Okay. Okay, so a lot of the little bitty bits that I've missed out are probably going to be covered by the background anyway, so I'm not going to go too much into that. It's up to you if you want to go into it a little bit more closely. Okay. And the other way of doing it, you know, I want to deselect this so that the dancing ants aren't showing. I've just clicked the background on there. You know, you can still see bits of that outline, but it's not as visible. So these little bits here, so I can then use the eraser tool, and it will only erase the bits that are selected. So if I click in there, you know, I can go over the chin and it's not deleting it. I can go into there and it's not deleting anything outside the lines. So that's useful. Control and D again to select there, and just freehand eraser if you want as well. I think I've taken off a little bit too much there. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So it's quite rough. For the sake of this tutorial, let's see what we can do. Okay. And if you want to zoom in more closely, I'm just going to press Control and plus. On a Mac, it's Command and plus. Just tidy this up a little bit here. It's very bitty. So normally I would do this a lot more carefully, but because I'm recording it and going along, it's time permitting really. Okay. Just going to zoom that back out. So quite messy, but when I put the background layer back on, it should be less so. These little bits here are quite annoying. Okay, so rough, but still works fine. Now we've got a number of issues here. It's very clearly, you know, this is more like a painted, digitally painted kind of backdrop, whereas this is from the film. So it's very clear that they don't go together. So what we can do, we can start trying to match the hue and the color balance. So I'm going to go to image adjustments here, and then just first of all, I'm going to select color balance, and then start experimenting with these sliders here to try and get more of a purple kind of tone, so it fits in a little bit more with the background. So that's the mid-tones, the shadows, and then the highlights. That way. And then I'm going to do the same with the background. Image adjustments, color balance. Take those up again, so it kind of matches a little bit more. The shadows in this one a little bit darker. Okay. The highlights need to be a lot more bright. So it's starting to tie in a little bit more. Okay, what I do at the end of these kind of things is I cheat a little bit and put a texture over the top. At the moment, we've got our Batman, and we've got our Gotham type background. I'm going to make him just a little bit bigger. So Control and T again, and then resize him so more in the foreground. Okay, and now, so we've got Batman in Gotham. The next bit, I'm going to add on some appropriate text. So you can add on using the type tool and download an appropriate font from the likes of dafont.com. So at the moment, let's see what font I've got set. I've got Chiller set. I think that's one I've downloaded. I'm not overly happy with that one, so I'm just going to nick some text off Google Batman logo. Again, I'm going to make sure it's high quality. So size large, but I want one with text on as well. So we'll go. Let's see. So many. I kind of like the new one actually. Batman logo. Okay. And the size of that one. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to copy that, and then you'll see once I go back to the window over here, Control and V, paste onto the layer above. Now I'm just going to get rid of the black outline, so the black around it, and hold Shift. It's going to get rid of some of the bat wing there, only a little bit though, so I think it should be all right. See, and then backspace. Okay. So now using get rid of the free transform tool, and then putting that in the bottom left hand corner there. Okay, so we've got three elements there so that kind of make up a poster. We'd also have other information from the studio and that kind of stuff, but these are the basic elements. We know what it is, we know the location, we know the kind of color tones and all that kind of stuff on there. So we've got the start of a poster, a print poster. Now, what I'm going to do for part two is add some motion to this. So through social media, we get a lot more engagement through Move an Image. so in the likes of Instagram. So in order to add motion to this, what I'm going to do is go up to the window up here and turn on the video timeline. So create video timeline. So you see each of our layers here now are represented in a timeline format. If I press play on it, nothing happens because I've not added any motion to it yet. But there are simple ways to do that. First of all, the easiest way, what I'm going to do here, click this little arrow at the end of the clip on the layer and then add. We've got a number of options, pan and zoom. I'm just going to have it zoom, which will make this text layer go bigger. If you unclick resize to fill canvas, otherwise it zooms right in and fills the whole canvas, which I don't want it to do. I just want it to go a little bit, and I'm going to anchor it in that bottom left hand corner so it grows from there. So you do that and click that. See, it will go quite slow depending on the processor speed, and you can see it's not playing full speed here where the numbers are red. So once it plays one time through, it should play full speed. Well, it's still not quite full speed, but you kind of get the picture. Okay, so I've added a little bit of motion to that. If I wanted to go in and make that a little bit more precise, if I expand this, you can see here we've got our keyframes. So if I drag the playhead to the beginning, it starts off that size. I can also add in a transition, so crossfade. Let's see. Doesn't seem to be having on today. Let's see. No, that's having none of it at the moment. Let's see, fade to black. Like that. So let's see. Yeah, fade to black's no good unless I have fade to black on all the other ones as well. So let's see why that doesn't work. No. Okay, I'm going to delete that. That's working fine. For my Batman layer, I'm going to make sure that's highlighted. So see that layer added there. I'm going to click on here, and what I'm going to add on this one is pan and zoom. So it moves in. Let's see if it moves in that direction. So it should move. Oh, it's moving away to the bottom right-hand corner where I want it to go the other way. So if I click that again and change that direction to there. So pan and zoom. You can see him kind of moving. The problem that I've got there is some of the background that wasn't on the canvas is also coming into view, and it's going across far too much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to expand this. And then where we've got the playhead on that keyframe, I'm going to go back. I'm going to move him back over here. So let's see how far he goes there. Okay, just a little bit more. Stay over on our side. So he's getting a little bit bigger, and the logo's getting a little bit bigger. So what I'm also going to do here, the reason it's called a 2.5D parallax is because we've got 2D elements in the use of text and the foreground image and a background. So these are 2D elements, but what we're doing is giving the illusion that it's a three-dimensional image. So what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of pan onto the background, so the background moves at a different rate to the foreground. So just pan on that, and I'll move it over to the right, and don't want to resize it. So let's see what happens with that. So very, very, very slightly. I think that might going a little bit too much. Yeah, it's starting to bring that logo back in. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have it go the other way instead. Let's see. That way. Let's see. Again, because of the processing speed, we can see down here it reduces the frame per second rate to quite low. These are quite fast computers, but it's just one of those things you have to be patient with. But you can see where it starts and where it ends. So as I say, the illusion of depth. So now we have our 2.5D parallax. So you see on Netflix, Netflix use these really well to instead of a screensaver. So it's a little bit more interesting and dynamic. Now, what I'm going to do, as I said before, is going to add a texture layer. So rain texture. Yeah, we've already got rain on there. Let's see what direction is the rain going. The rain's going kind of that direction. Let's see what this quality is like. Tool, size, large. Yeah, okay. Copy image. So you'll see here now, once I paste this image over the top, obviously, because it's black, we won't see what's going on underneath. So I'm going to give this a go. I can try and get one with a transparent. I'm going to give this a go and change my blending options and see whether that works. So Control and T to free transform. I didn't notice that's got a watermark on. Let's just see anyway. Let's see if that works. So we've got lighting, screen. I think these are the ones that kind of work a little bit better. Yeah, so the lighting and the screen one. Go with that, lighting. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that layer above it again. So put that. So at the moment, though, as I say, this is 2.5D parallax. Let's see, that layer needs to go in line with that as well, though. So the problem is with this, we've got the texture, we've got them growing, but the rain is static. So the illusion is kind of lost. Well, you can experiment with different textures anyway. So what I'm going to have it doing something like that. Let's see, gritty texture. Gritty texture. Just a lot of experimentation with this kind of stuff. Try and find one without a watermark on. Again, if you're using these for commercial use, you'd probably have to pay. But just as I'm just showing this as an example, and I should be okay. This kind of gritty texture. And then I can do a number of things with this. Change the blending options again, as you can see. Kind of ties the image. It does make it look a little bit like it's being taken with a potato rather than cameras, but it's starting to add it in a little bit more and add a little bit more grit. So I think that one. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the opacity down as well. So we've got a little bit of a hint of the texture. If we take it all the way down, that's not going to work. So we've just got a little bit. So if it's quite subtle, it ties it in just a little bit more. Okay, so there we have it. I'm going to make sure that's in line with that layer there. And then let's go back to the beginning again and press play. Okay. 2.5D parallax. So now, in order to be able to view that as a video file, go to File, Export, and then Render Video. Yeah, so I'm going to put this into my Downloads folder. A little bit more space in there. Feel free to select where you want yours to go to. And I'm going to call it Batman. Don't want to put a full stop in the 2.5D there because it might try and change the extension of the file. So we've got it as an MP4. Adobe Media Encoder, H.264, and then I will render that. I won't render that like that. Let's see, I want to change it to, let's see, HDV TV 1080. Let's do that. So the proportions for this are going to be a little bit different because I've gone with print. So there's still print images we can save as a JPEG, which I'll go back and do that in a sec. But that's pretty much straightforward. When people have used Photoshop, they should know how to save as a JPEG anyway. That's how to export, and then as an MP4 video, you should find that you should be able to play in QuickTime, Windows Media Player, etc. Okay, thank you very much.